As the final shots of World War II faded, the world was left with an unprecedented challenge. What to do with the colossal arsenal of war machines that had helped secure victory? Imagine endless fields stretching to the horizon, not of crops but of tanks, armored vehicles and weaponry. This vast array of surplus armored vehicles, seen here in a United States facility in 1946, represents a fraction of the millions of tons of equipment now awaiting an uncertain fate. This wasn't just about storage. It was a profound logistical and economic puzzle, a silent testament to an industrial might suddenly without a war to fight. The very machines that had once been symbols of power and freedom now stood abandoned, their purpose fulfilled, their future unknown. The scale of this post-war reckoning extended far beyond the visible vehicles. Alongside the silent ranks of tanks and trucks lay mountains of the smaller, yet equally vital components of war. In another United States Army depot, the sheer volume is breathtaking, a monumental pile of 18 million pounds of scrap brass, salvaged from unused equipment, munitions, casings, and other metallic remnants. This wasn't merely waste, it was a valuable resource, a strategic reserve of raw materials that would be melted down and repurposed for the peacetime industries struggling to rebound. It was a tangible representation of the material cost of victory and the immense effort to reclaim and recycle the vestiges of conflict. While ground vehicles filled vast depots, the skies were also cleared of their warriors. The iconic Kingman Air Force Base in Arizona became a central hub for the aerial fleet's demobilization, known grimly as Project Keep. Between 1945 and 1946, an estimated 5,500 aircraft, including mighty bombers and sleek fighters, were ferried to this arid expanse. The dry desert air was ideal for storage, but most of these magnificent flying machines were not destined for future flight. Instead, they awaited the inevitable, the scrapyard. This transformation of symbols of air superiority into mountains of metal epitomized the abrupt transition from an all-out war economy to a post-war reality. Back on solid ground, the story of obsolescence was starkly visible. Here, rows of M3A1 light tanks, once vital for reconnaissance and infantry support, sit abandoned in a sprawling United States Army depot in 1946. Despite their service, the rapid advancements in tank design during the war meant that by 1945, many of these earlier models were already considered outdated. The cost of upgrading them or even maintaining them for long-term storage often outweighed any perceived future utility. Their tracks, once churning through enemy lines, now lay still, collecting dust, forgotten symbols of a technological race that never paused. The same predicament faced the Allied forces stationed in Europe. In England, countless military motorcycles, instrumental for dispatch riders and reconnaissance, also found themselves redundant. Here, surplus military motorcycles are bundled in groups of 5, prepared for sale as scrap. These nimble machines, often Triumph or Norton models, had traversed battlefields and delivered vital messages, yet now faced an ignominious end. The sheer logistical effort to transport them back to the United States was often deemed uneconomical, leading to their disposal closer to where they served their final duties. The scale of this motorcycle surplus in England was immense, with hundreds upon hundreds of machines grouped together, each awaiting its turn for the scrapyard. A lone figure, likely a quartermaster or an inventory clerk, meticulously checks lists, overseeing the disposition of these forgotten workhorses. While some of these durable motorcycles would find new life in civilian hands, sold cheap to a public eager for affordable transport, the vast majority were destined for the smelter. They embodied the forgotten smaller elements of the war machine, equally important in their roles, equally discarded in the aftermath. Back in the American desert, the majestic heavy bombers like these B-17s and B-24s awaited their fate at Kingman Air Force Base in 1947. These flying fortresses, once symbols of Allied might, had crisscrossed hostile skies, delivering payloads that shaped the course of history. Now, parked in orderly rows stretching for miles, they presented a poignant sight. The decision to scrap rather than store or sell them off was driven by several factors: the immense cost of maintenance, the rapid pace of aviation development making them obsolete, and the sheer volume of production during the war, which far exceeded any peacetime need. The dismantling process at Kingman was systematic, often beginning with the most valuable components. Here, powerful radial engines are carefully removed from the mothballed planes in 1947. These engines, marvels of wartime engineering, were sometimes salvaged for other uses, perhaps in civilian aircraft or for spare parts. However, many were simply too specialized or too numerous to justify widespread reuse. The scene represents a critical phase of the aluminum harvest, where the complex machinery of war was systematically deconstructed into its base materials, signaling the definitive end of these aircraft's service. The ultimate destiny for thousands of these once proud aircraft was a towering pile of twisted aluminum, all that remained of their complex structures at Kingman Air Force Base in 1947. Powerful guillotines and shears reduced fuselages and wings into manageable chunks, ready for melting down. This transformation was not just about waste management, it was a crucial part of the post-war economy. The recycled aluminum was vital for rebuilding efforts and burgeoning consumer industries, proving that even in their destruction, these forgotten war machines contributed to the peace they helped secure. Each glinting piece of metal held echoes of its former glory, a silent testament to its wartime service. Yet, not every machine met such an end. Some, like the ubiquitous Jeep, proved too versatile to be simply scrapped. In England, this impressive fleet of 800 military Jeeps awaited auction at a storage facility in 1946. The Jeep, officially designated the Willys MB or Ford GPW, was a marvel of wartime engineering, celebrated for its ruggedness and adaptability. Its popularity among soldiers and its immediate civilian appeal meant that many were sold off, some even to grateful European nations for their own reconstruction efforts. This iconic vehicle would transcend its military origins, becoming a global symbol of utility and adventure. Back across the Atlantic, the vast storage depots continued to hold untold numbers of armored vehicles, their wartime duties concluded in 1946. These rows of tanks, many still crated or carefully covered, reflect the enormous scale of the problem. While some might be held for future conflicts, the reality was that most would never see service again. The logistical nightmare of storing and maintaining such a massive inventory, combined with the rapid advancements in military technology, meant that the fate of many of these machines was already sealed, even if their final journey to the scrap heap was yet to begin. This expansive view of numerous armored vehicles, packed together in storage at a United States facility in 1946, underscores the overwhelming volume of equipment that needed processing. Beyond tanks, various types of artillery pieces, half-tracks and armored cars were also part of this post-World War II boneyard. The sheer number speaks to the incredible industrial output of the Allied nations during the war, a testament to a total war effort where every resource was mobilized. Now, with peace declared, that same immense capacity became a burden, a tangible reminder of the recent global struggle. Against a backdrop of widespread scrapping and auctioning, a few extraordinary cases emerged, highlighting human ingenuity and resourcefulness. Here, a powerful American-made tank, likely an M3 or M4 Sherman, has found an entirely new purpose. Stripped of its turret and armament, it is repurposed for civilian life, now pulling a plow on a farm. This remarkable transformation illustrates how the sheer power and robust chassis of these military vehicles could be adapted to the peaceful tasks of rebuilding and sustenance. From battlefields to farm fields, these machines found new ways to serve. Indeed, this American tank, now a farm tractor, stands as a powerful symbol of the transition from war to peace. With men guiding the plow, it demonstrates the incredible adaptability of human spirit and machinery in the aftermath of global conflict. World War II's forgotten war machines, whether scrapped, auctioned, or ingeniously repurposed, ultimately contributed to the post-war recovery. From the vast boneyards of aircraft and tanks to the piles of scrap metal and the rare instances of civilian reuse, their legacy is a complex tapestry of destruction and rebirth. These silent behemoths, once instruments of war, became the raw materials and the unexpected tools for a new, peaceful future, reminding us that even in their forgotten state, they played one final vital role: